Hi, everyone. So, we are in the middle of our wonderful hormone reset, and today we are going to talk about stress. I'm going to forewarn you that your body is made to deal with stress. And so, when we talk about stress, it's impractical, and in fact, it causes even more stress for us to think of having a stress free life. That isn't happening. It has never happened from Paleolithic man to now. A stress free life doesn't exist. If we know that a stress free life does not exist, then we also know that our bodies are made to handle a certain amount of stress, that we have been engineered and we have been given support to handle a certain amount of stress. Our hormones become out of whack when, instead of having that momentary stress that we are in danger, we are needing to react quickly, we are under a deadline, and then that stress dissipates. Deadline passes, we're out of danger, we've handled the situation, and then our body can return to baseline. Sometimes we find ourselves living in a continual state of stress. This stress might be caused by family conditions, it might be caused by work, and it also might be caused by our own self-talk that we give each other, or give ourselves rather, and how much we take on our plates. And we talked a little bit about that when we spoke about exercise and matching your stress level opposite your exercise. So today we're going to talk about how the effect of stress on our hormones, as well as how do we get ourselves back to normal, or to how we were made in terms of stress. So what does stress do to our hormones? It completely imbalances them is the short answer. Stress raises insulin levels. That means we store more fat and we burn less fat. So stress raises insulin levels, which helps us to get fat. The other thing stress does is it overtaxes our adrenals. Our adrenals are the glands that get us ready for flight or fight. When we are constantly under stress, we can put ourselves in a place of experiencing adrenal fatigue, where our adrenals are so overcome with pumping out adrenaline that they're tired. They basically they can't anymore. And then we end up really tired, very lethargic, very unmotivated, almost in a state of depression because of adrenal fatigue. What else does hormonal imbalance in this way do? It throws off all of our feminine hormones. It makes it difficult for us to conceive. It intensifies the impact of perimenopause and menopause. It makes us irritable. It really challenges our mental health from a chemical balance point of view. So elevated cortisol, which happens when we're under stress, really impacts our entire system. It impacts how we see the world. It impacts our cardiovascular health to the negative. It increases our blood pressure. It puts more pressure on the heart because the heart is working harder when there's a lot of cortisol. Cortisol also stimulates insulin production, which helps us to gain more weight. It also negatively impacts our brain because high cortisol and high insulin levels make it very difficult for the brain to go through its self-cleaning cycle at night. So when we are out of balance with stress, it affects our brain. So we get mental fog, we get poor memory, we get that scattered feeling. It also affects our brain and making it more likely that we feel sad, that we feel anxious, that we feel depressed, that we have mood swings that aren't necessarily correlated with what's happening in our life. It disrupts our sleep because when those hormones are off, our sleep hormones are off too. So we find ourselves having difficulty going to sleep, waking up, having difficulty waking up, or waking up too early, or waking up in the middle of the night and not able to go to sleep. It impacts our weight gain and our weight loss, how our body uses energy. So you could literally be eating the same that you did last year in a non-stressful year and this year in a high-stress year and be gaining weight because of the activity of your hormones. So our hormones have a huge impact on all of our body systems. How do we balance them as it relates to stress? So these are the tools that you use. First, you know that stress is normal and there are mechanisms to handle it. So there's no need to get stressed over your stress. Simple as that. And the other aspect is to choose some stress dissolving lifestyle choices. And the reason I use stress dissolving is I want to put the emphasis on learning to mitigate, learning to dissolve, learning to alchemize stress so that it doesn't have a negative impact. So how can we do that? We do that I want you to look at your week, and when this video is done, write down all the things you do for the week. And one of your tasks is to ask yourself, how can I simplify what I'm doing? What can I not do? And what can I delegate? I am a mother of 7 kids, and people are always like, how do you do all the things you do? I frequently do that assessment. What am I doing that I can make more efficient? What am I doing that I don't need to do? And what am I doing that I can delegate? For example, I love Target, and so I love going shopping at Target. But I'm like, okay, that is a stress because it takes 20 minutes there, Target, 20 minutes back, and I lose time. So that is something I don't need to be doing. So I can go to my local CVS, or I can go to Amazon and get the same things that I need. What are things I don't need to be doing? The impulse is to clean up after people. I literally don't need to be doing that. And that cleanup after people can happen at work as well as at home. Like maybe there's something that is super easy for you to do, but that's not part of your job, but you go ahead and do it because you know it's more efficient. It'll get done right. Taking on extra tasks when you don't have that capacity is increasing your level of stress. The other thing is that you may not be building in recovery time. And that's something that I am definitely guilty of. That when we are in a high stress life period or a high stress like day or event, or there's something that we're accomplishing, or there's some pressure we're under that's causing high stress, we need to build in recovery time. And the other important thing about building in recovery time is you need to tell yourself this is recovery time. There is something that happens in terms of the communication between your rational brain and your animal brain in the back. Your animal brain is the source of anxiety. It is the source of feeling overwhelmed. It is the source of the increased heart rate, the increased cortisol level. But when these two parts of our brain communicate, it breaks a cycle. So when our rational brain tells our mammalian brain, hey, we are having rest time, it cuts short our anxiety. It increases our relaxation. So when you have recovery times, I want you to tell yourself, this is my recovery time. An example, yesterday, I worked really long and I worked really hard, and I had parent-teacher night, and I had a few other things that were completely unrelated to work. So it was a very long day. So what did I do? I knew I had a next day. I was waking up in the morning to an agenda that I wanted to accomplish. So what do? I took my shower and I told myself, this is your recovery time. You're going to stand in the shower, or a bath would be even better, and you're going to completely, I don't have a bathtub, you're going to completely enjoy this. You're going to be completely present to this, because this is your recovery time. Your cup of tea before you go to bed is part of your recovery time. Your sleep is part of your recovery time. Your ritual of getting your coffee in the morning, this is your recovery time. So I kept telling myself, this is my recovery time. And that way, when I woke up and I went to the next task that I really wanted to do, I felt recovered. I felt like full. I felt like, oh, I have something to bring to this. So it's super duper 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 important that you build in recovery time, and that you are present to that recovery time. And when I say present, it means that you were taking in the feeling, the sensation. So for my shower, the warmth, the smell, the sensation of the water on your skin, that you are very, very, very much connected to that. So that's how we build in recovery time. So that's tool number 1, build in recovery time. Tool number 2 is breath. So taking deep breaths help you to relax, because it stimulates your vagus nerve, and your vagus nerve communicates to your brain, let's relax. And you don't need to meditate. You just need to take a deep breath in. I try to think of taking the breath all the way down to the base of my pelvis, and then you breathe it out. And a key here is to breathe out more slowly than you inhaled, because in the exhale is where the relaxation happens. So you take in a deep breath, and then you slowly breathe it out. Here you are tapping into what Mother Nature gave you. She gave you a way of recalibrating your nervous system. And this is how we do it. We take a deep breath in, all the way to the base of our pelvis, and then we slowly, slowly, slowly breathe it out. And last gift I'm going to share with you is gratitude. And here I think of gratitude not just as, oh, I'm thankful for the good weather today, or I'm thankful for this, but gratitude in terms of listing your W's, listing your wins. What wins did you have today? Even if the day was not a good day, there are wins. Wins might be, I chose to eat something that was nourishing. Wins might be, I didn't bite off the head of that colleague of mine. A win might be that I said the right thing at the right time. A win might be that I smiled at this person when I didn't feel like smiling. A win might be that I went to bed without eating the ice cream. A win might be that I took a moment to see the sunset. A win might be that my favorite bird was outside the window and I actually noticed that it was there. A win might be that I actually did do things on my to-do list. So wins come in all shapes and sizes, and you have wins every single day. A win might be I woke up when my alarm went off. A win might be I ate the thing I said I was going to eat. A win might be I went to the class I said I was going to go to. Those are all wins. When we count our W's, we feel more control in our lives. And when we feel more control in our lives, we feel more at peace with our lives, versus feeling like we're getting toppled by waves, wave after wave after wave, or that we're in a state of overwhelm, or we have lost all control. So those are your 3 tools, and I encourage you to write down other tools, because I know you have other tools. You have access to other tools to deal with stress. So it might be exercise properly. It might be drinking water. It might be having a cup of tea. It might be calling up a friend. It might be creating a to-do list at night and setting your intentions for the next day. It might be wearing your favorite sweatshirt. It could be a gazillion different things. It might be getting your nails done. It might be a good night's sleep is what you need. It might be letting go of something is what you need. So there are many, many different ways that we can dissolve stress. It might be lighting a candle and imagining the stress burning off of you. The important thing is that you integrate in your life ways of dissolving stress so that your hormones can come back into balance. And just as a recap, we talked about counting your W's. We talked about taking a deep breath with a slow, slow exhale. And we talked about being conscious and intentional and saying out loud when you're creating recovery time for yourself. That's it. Next session, we will be talking about sleep. Sleep is really important as it relates to balancing your hormones. You don't want to miss that. And I will see you when we talk about sleep. Good night.